I really thought that by 30, I would have everything figured out. I would be like this fully embodied, confident, secure, about it person or woman. And what I realized is that life isn't about arriving to a destination. It's about becoming the person that is able to sit and revel in it. And so these are the 30 lessons I've learned at 30. First one in that vein is that you don't need to arrive to a place in order to be worthy. You don't need a certain job title, a certain amount of money in the bank, a certain marriage status in order to be worthy. You are worthy simply because you exist. And there's nothing you need to do and nothing you need to achieve in order to be worthy. And I did a meditation the other day, and it was like imagining a puppy. And you are like, wow, like that puppy's so beautiful. And I love the puppy, and it's so soft and it's so amazing. And that was just it. Like the puppy didn't have to do anything for you or to you in order to be worthy of love, right? I loved the puppy simply because it existed. And that is the same with us. Or as a baby in a womb, you are like so cherished, and people are like waiting for you to kick, and you're loved and you're adored. And that is the essence of who you are. You are worthy simply because you exist. And so that is my first lesson. And that is like the root of everything else. The second is that achievement and fulfillment are not the same thing. You can achieve, but if it's not in alignment with your values, then you will be disappointed. That is why you can have like a really prestigious job and not like it, or you can be in a huge house and not like it. And it's because it's not in alignment to your values. And so when you're making a decision or you want to do something, it's like a value check of like, is this in alignment with who I am and what I want? And if not, it's no. The third is that the way you speak to yourself becomes your reality. So if you are hypercritical in your head, if you are mean to yourself in your head, if you berate yourself, it is going to not only affect how you feel, but every aspect of your life. When your inner critic is the loudest voice in the room, you live your life with that inner critic right next to you all the time. And who wants to live a life like that? And so how you speak to yourself matters so, so much. The fourth is that validation is an inside job. When I think about this one, I think about like all the times I've chased validation, whether it was via accomplishment, whether it was via dating someone, whether it was via looking a certain way or posting something on Instagram. That is all fleeting. And those things often change. And when you fill your cup internally, when you affirm yourself internally, you look for it outside of yourself less. It's like a cup. And when you fill your own cup with validation, you're not looking for other people to fill that cup for you. 5 is that you are your own parent. And we don't have control over how our parents treated us or what our childhood was like, but we have full autonomy and agency over how we choose to parent ourselves now. So, how am I taking care of my body? How am I managing my schedule? How am I managing my relationships and my friendships? That is all my responsibility. And those are all pillars of self love. I think at its core, self love is becoming the parent you wanted and needed and need in this moment. That is self love to me. Number 6 is that if you are stuck in a loop, that means you're probably stuck in a story. And for me, I had a story about romantic relationships. And so I kept perpetuating that experience because I was stuck in the story of what kind of relationships I had. And when I disrupted the story is when I disrupted that reality for myself. And so oftentimes when we're stuck in a loop, it's because we are stuck in the story of what it is. And we're so bogged down by what has happened that we can't even see the possibility of something else. Number 7 is that not everything is meant to be understood. We will never understand why someone else does something else. And it is also not for us to understand. Our responsibility is to take care of ourselves, to feel it, to be present with it, to grieve it, to let it go, to dance in it, and that's it. It doesn't have to be pathologized all the time. Number 8 is that some people learn through words and some people learn through pain. And the when you find yourself repeating yourself or like getting frustrated with someone, it's because they're not listening to your words. And unfortunately, it is their responsibility to learn through their pain. And it's hard to witness, it's frustrating to witness, but again, it's not your responsibility. And you save yourself so much time and so much breath when you ask yourself, does this person actually want my words, or do they want to live in their pain? And having that discernment of which will save you so much time, will save you so much energy, and will save you so much frustration. Number 9 is that you cannot grow when you are married to an identity. And so an example of this could be, oh, I'm not confrontational. When you identify as that, you limit your ability to learn how to be confrontational. So just watch how you identify. Because if you're like, oh, I'm just like not conflict, I'm just conflict avoidant, like you give yourself a barrier of not being able to grow as a person. And so you might not be strong at it and might not be your biggest skill, but that doesn't mean that you're not that. It's just that you haven't practiced the tools. And so really, this one is like, what identity are you saying that you are that is actually crippling your ability to grow? Number 10 is that healing does not have to be complicated and it does not have to be expensive. Yes, I've gone on retreats and I've done therapy and I've done all these things, but also nature, also journaling, also resting, also playing and laughing and like having fun. Those all can be also healing experiences. It doesn't have to be hard, it doesn't have to be expensive, and it doesn't have to be complicated in order to be healing. Number 11 is you cannot carry someone into their potential. How I view this is like you can't carry someone up a mountain no matter how much you love them, no matter how much you care about them. If someone wants to stay at the bottom of a mountain, it will exhaust you and you will build resentment because they are not going up the path at the speed at which you want. Which honestly, who are you to decide how and when someone starts their journey? And so what you can do is that you can encourage, you can support, you can offer tools, but carrying someone is not your burden to bear. Number 12 is people pleasing is a form of self abandonment. When you do not advocate for yourself or say how you feel or repress your needs or shrink yourself in order to please another person, in those moments, you are abandoning yourself. And it's this one is heavy because I think a lot of us can identify as a people pleaser, but really it's a self-abandoner. And when we can say that hard truth, we are that much more likely to stop people pleasing. 13 is a person can only meet you as deeply as they've met themselves. So if someone has a really hard time sitting with their uncomfortable emotions, it will be very difficult for them to sit with your heavy emotions. If someone like numbs themselves or ignores how they feel, it's going to be hard for them to sit in your pain. So when you're building relationships or friendships, just keep that in mind. Like, oh, can this person like talk about their feelings? Can they cry? Can they sit when they're uncomfortable? Can they express and advocate for themselves? If not, it's going to be very hard for them to hold space for you. Number 14 is that you do not need betrayal in order to outgrow a person. I thought that like someone needed to do something horrible to me for me to stop being their friend or like end a relationship. But in reality, if that person isn't expanding you or loyal, then they can be lovingly dismissed. And it doesn't need to be like this chaotic thing. It doesn't need to be this like terrible thing. It could be I'm bowing out of this experience and I thank you for the time that we had. And it really can be that civil and it really can be that mature. Number 15 is that if you center anything outside of yourself in your life, like if you center a person or you center a job, you will always be disappointed. And what I mean by that is that when you center a person and that person leaves, or that person is tired, or that person, God forbid, passes away, then what? Then you're disheveled and you don't know what to do with your life. Or when you center a job and you get laid off, let's say, then again, you're thrown off of equilibrium. But when you center yourself or something greater than yourself, you always are like firm in who you are. And I feel like I spent so much time in my 20s centering others and other things, and I would get lost or I would fall or these things because I wasn't at the center of my plans and my focus. And so, and it's not even in a selfish way. It's in a, I know what I am, I know what I deserve, I know what I need, and I orient my life in order to facilitate that. Number 16 is that relationships are mirrors. And so when you are facing conflict or when someone isn't treating you well or when someone is neglecting you, oftentimes it's because we are not treating ourselves well or we're neglecting ourselves. And so anytime you want to point the finger at someone, it really is three fingers pointing back at you, because at the end of the day, how someone treats you is really always how you allow them to treat you. And even if you don't allow that treatment, you are allowing access for them to treat you that way. And so when someone is not treating you well, when is someone is being abusive or toxic, it's like, okay, I'm the one giving the access to do that. And so how do I cut that? Number 17 is that environments either wilt you or water you. And so is the environment that you're in, your job environment, your home environment, your physical location, is that wilting you or watering you? And it's only you that can decide that for yourself. But your environment is so critical, so critical. 18, in the same vein, is pay attention to what drains you and what expands you. There is this like phenomenon, and I can't remember the creator, but she basically said that life is like 4 quadrants, and the goal is always to be in like the fourth quadrant, and that quadrant is to be around and in places with people that expand you and that are loyal. That is the quadrant you want to be in. You don't want to be in the quadrant where someone is draining you but they're loyal, and you don't want to be in the quadrant where someone is disloyal but expansive. So the goal is always to be around and in places where the person is both expanding you and is loyal. Number 19 is the energy in which you do something matters more than what you are actually doing. You can work out from a place of punishment, and you can meditate from a place of pressure, and you can do all of these self-love activities from a place of I need to because I'm not enough, or from a place of I love myself, therefore. You can, so it's not what you're doing, it's the energy in which you're doing the thing. 20 is that music is the quickest way to shift your vibration. Music, we have playlists for certain things and certain moods, and you really can use that as a healing modality. When I was at one of my lowest moments, like 2 years ago, I only listened to affirmational music for like 4 months. And so I used music to lift my vibration because it was naturally so low. And so you really can use music to heal you if you are intentional about it. 21, if you are stressed or overwhelmed, there is a trade-off that you must make. Shout out to my bestie for teaching me this one. And basically, it's if you are overwhelmed, that means that there's responsibilities you have and time and energy you have, and they are not in alignment. And so the trade-off is, what are you going to lovingly discard so that you can get back into alignment? Maybe it's shifting the timeline, maybe it's shifting the priorities, but forcing yourself and pushing yourself to the point you get sick is not fair to yourself, and it's also not sustainable. I get like hustle culture is a thing, and if you got like a short period of time that you really need to work on something, that's one thing. But long term, you can't sustain yourself chronically stressed or chronically overwhelmed, because you will literally make yourself sick. And so, what are you willing to trade off? Is it disappointing people? Is it canceling plans? Is it shifting something in order to get yourself back into realignment? Number 22 is that the more you are yourself, the more your people will find you. When I started to actually actively participate in the things I'm actually interested in, I found people on that same accord. And it sounds simple, right? Like, I love yoga, so I went to a yoga retreat and I met people that way. I love Louise Hay, so I went to a Louise Hay retreat and I met people that way. But really, it's doing things you actually like to do. You will meet like-minded people. Also, will say that being more yourself is the quickest filter for people that are for you. Because when you are truthful in who you are, you get to give people the truth of who you are, and they can either accept it or they can decline it. And quicker to decline it faster than to delay what would be inevitable, right? So might as well be fully yourself so that people can decide whether they're for you or they're not. 23rd one is that the more you love yourself, the better your life becomes. When you love yourself, you treat your body better, you advocate for yourself at work, you say no to things you really don't want to do, you make changes that you really want to change because you believe that you are worthy and deserving of it. When you love yourself, you protect yourself from negative environments, and you walk away from people that don't deserve you, and you go after the things that you want. And so the goal is always, always, how can I love myself more? Not how I can be perfect, not how can I get this person to like me. How can I love myself more? And side tangent, when you love yourself, the deeper you're able even to receive love. My boyfriend says I love you, and I can only receive it to the level that I love myself. Same thing goes with like feeling beautiful. He can say, Aileen, you are so beautiful, but I will only believe it to the level that I believe that I'm beautiful. And so the answer is always, how can I love myself more? Because that is where the richness is, because that is where you're able to receive it. You can only receive things to the capacity you believe that you're able to receive them. And so the richer and sweeter your life is equivalent to how much you love yourself. And that journey is a long one and a great one. Number 24 is that you do not need people to understand you. Some people are very married to their beliefs, to their worldview, and to their opinions. And there is nothing you can do to change it or to alter it. And so you just have to be okay with being misunderstood and being the rebel or being the problem. Like, it's okay, because it's not for you to explain. Obviously, we do want to be understood, but there are people that are committed to their views, and so you just gotta let it go. 25, if you are a growth-oriented person, you will outgrow things in your life. You'll outgrow environments and people, and that is okay. And I don't think there's enough talk about like the grief of what once was, like the grief of your old life, the grief of how you used to live. But you will outgrow certain things in your life, and that is okay. Number 26 is that some goodbyes are quiet. Some endings are quiet. They don't need a loud, dramatic exit, even though, my moon is in Leo. But some things don't need like a loud, dramatic exit. Some are just a quiet, thank you, I love you, goodbye. And that isn't said out loud. It's just something you say vibrationally. Not everyone and everything needs a breakup text. I'm sorry, but they just don't. Number 27 is you are allowed to choose yourself. You are allowed to choose yourself. Say it with me. I am allowed to choose myself. Again, back to the people pleasing. Are you allowing yourself to choose what you actually want to do, what you actually desire, how you actually want to live? Or are you confining yourself into what society or what your family or what your culture or what Instagram is conditioning you to think? You are allowed to choose yourself. 28 is that letting go can be so, so loving. When you let go, you make space for the thing that you actually want. And so letting go can actually be the most loving thing you can do for someone else and for yourself. It really, really can. Because you teach the person, let's say, consequences, but you also teach yourself that you'll take care and protect yourself. So it can really be a loving thing. 29 is that you cannot expand your life when you're shrinking yourself. And so when you're shrinking what you want, when you're shrinking who you are, when you're shrinking what you believe, that is like fundamentally the opposite of expansion. And so in order to expand, you need to not shrink. And so where are you shrinking yourself? Where are you playing small when you actually want to play big? Where are you having or can have more audacity, but you're afraid to? Those are the places where you're being asked to expand. The 30th one is that you are not behind. There's like this misconception that I hear often with friends and family that they are behind. And I'm like, behind what? Behind who? Behind like that. I wish I could physically and permanently release the shackles of from the people that I love, because that is just a belief, and a belief can be changed. You believe that you are behind because of Instagram, because of society, because of capitalism, and really you can opt out of the belief. There are people with there are women getting pregnant in their 40s, and there are women that got pregnant in their 50s. And so you are not behind because you are not pregnant yet. And there are people that start their companies in their 40s and their 50s. And there are people that so there's no such thing as being behind, because everyone is on their own timeline. Everyone. And so you are not behind. And really, if you were really truly behind, it was because you weren't ready for it at that moment. You weren't ready for that blessing. And so really it's just a call to, how can I prepare myself for the blessing that I deserve? Instead of saying, oh my God, I'm so behind, how am I preparing myself for the blessing that I deserve? And knowing that everything that I went through, did, lost, overcame was what I needed in that moment. Can you make peace with that? You are never behind. And that, I could make a whole video on that. And so those are the 30 things that I learned by the age of 30. I hope some of this resonated with you. These are lived things that I experienced, and it is a joy and honor to share them. So if you liked this video, please comment, share, or subscribe, and I'll be back with more videos on how to love yourself more deeply so that you can actually experience joy. Bye.